What is going on, YouTube people? Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics here. Today to go over some pickups. A little mail day, but it ties into the pickups from the Shipshewana trade night this past Friday. Went out to the show. They had a trade night the night before, a whole 9 yards. Talked about it a bunch kind of leading up to it. So did the video ahead of time about what I wanted to kind of accomplish going in, and gonna show what I was able to accomplish. I'm gonna focus on the trade night in this, depending on how long that takes. I'll get into the show thoughts as well, because they were kind of two different beasts. If not, we'll make Wednesday's video about the show, so we'll just kind of see how this goes. So we also have a little bit of a mail day, and the mail day ties directly into the trade night and the show, because I had this card purchased and it was on its way to me before I left for the show. I'm recording this Monday afternoon. The card just showed up today, but it freed me up to do some things, to put some things into the trade basket that I normally wouldn't have in that bin. So we'll talk about that too. So like, comment, subscribe, smash the like button, all that, all that stuff. So trade night itself was very good. It was actually just at the venue where the card show was, which was right down the street from my hotel. So it was basically the tables that the vendors were using, which was a massive space. So there was a lot of people there. It didn't feel super crowded because everyone was able to spread way out, which was nice. Typical, for those that have never been to a trade night before, let me just kind of talk about this real quick. Because we talk about them all the time, but I know a lot of people don't actually have access to them. If you've never been to the National, or you're not lucky enough to live close enough to a shop or another major show that kind of has these, essentially what it turns into is kind of a mini show to a degree, where if there's tables or space available, which usually there's typically something, a certain segment of people will just sit down at a table and kind of lay out their best stuff. Whatever the things they're looking to move or may catch your eye to kind of draw you into the table. And then they'll usually have their case sitting on the table as well. And then it'll be hey, do you mind if I take a look? Here's my stuff, and then go through. And then there'll be people just randomly walking around. And a lot of times you just literally stop someone and be like, hey, do you mind if I take a look at your stuff? And then you'll just pull off to an empty space and kind of set up shop and, kind of go through it. It's much less adversarial, for sure. People are much more willing to be realistic about what cards are currently comping for, trading comp for comp. If you're going to do a cash deal, that 90% eBay, that sort of stuff is usually much loosier goosier than the more antagonistic back and forth between you and a dealer in some situations. I met a lot of cool people at trade night. Met a ton of people at trade night that watch the channel. A lot of different people came up to me. It was just overall a very, very enjoyable time. Met a father and son that was watched the channel. That was a great time. Once again, just met a lot of people, had a lot of really cool interactions. Even if I wouldn't have made a single deal, it honestly would have been worth a trip just to kind of go up and hang out with people and get the vibe for the room and whatnot. So let's talk about the mail day really quickly, because it's going to lead me into the trade night stuff. So I recently picked up the Lebron refractor, second year PSA 9, a few months ago, or a few weeks ago now. So that kind of sent me down this path of looking at other Lebron refractors. And a big one that I'd already had in LeBron, I semi-PC / semi-view as a long-term hold, kind of a little bit of both sides of the coin, if you will. I don't necessarily mind flipping it, but I don't also mind sitting on it for a long period of time. So that sent me down this path of LeBron refractors, and the one that I had already had, not refractor, but one of his nicer cards, was Chalk Toss Chrome PSA 10. I had a paper PSA 9 that I upgraded with the PSA 10 Topps Chrome. And then I was looking at upgrading that. And I'd been on this quest for about a month and finally managed to pull the trigger when I actually won one at auction. So the mail day portion of this video is I picked up a Chalk Toss PSA 9 refractor. So absolutely gorgeous looking card. Very happy to have this one in the old collection. This ran me about 2,300 bucks, give or take. It's the most recent sale on eBay auction. I went back and forth trying to find one. A lot of people did not want to move at what they were currently comping at. So I kind of just had to wait out an auction. One ended the week before that I got outbid on at 2,500. So I just waited and dove in the next one and got in at about 22, 23. I think it ended up being 23 with shipping and everything. So this, by picking this up, it freed me up to go after, or to move my Chalk Toss Chrome PSA 10. And the 9 had always been in my trade bin since I picked up the 10. So let me set this back here. Let's let LeBron sit right there for a minute. And I view that as both a semi-PC pickup and also semi-long-term hold. So the first deal I made at trade night was just a pretty simple one. I was walking around talking to a few people that watch the channel, and someone else was finishing up a deal, and I saw a Vlad refractor sitting on the table, and I said, "Hey, is that yours?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Is it up, potential for trade?" He said, "Yeah, sure." So he looked through my stuff, and this was very simple. This deal took literally, I don't know, it feels like, I think it took longer for him to look through my case and me to look through his case than it did to actually come together on the deal. So the card is a Vlad PSA 10 Prism refractor. I seem to be on a Prism refractor train lately. I picked up this one. I purchased a Tatis not long ago, and I also purchased a Lubob not long ago. And one of my goals of the show was to look for baseball, and as we all know on the channel, I really like Vlad. So pick this up. I gave up, and once again, like he just flipped through my case and pulled out whatever he wanted. I gave up a Tatis Topps Chrome base and a LeBron Chalk Toss PSA 9 paper. He said, "Oh, I like Tatis. I'll take a Tatis back, and I wouldn't mind getting something that's a little bit more stable long-term hold." And that's why he went with the Chalk Toss. Those were a little short on comps, in my opinion. This was doing at about 400. Each one of those cards were doing between like anywhere from 180 to 200 bucks a piece, just kind of depending on the individual comps. So what I like to do in a lot of those situations, I'm not going to lose the deal over just a little bit. And we weren't like, even close to losing the deal or anything like that. But I just said, rather than trying to find another card, if I give you these two, how about 20 bucks on top, just to kind of seal this up? And he said, "Perfect, done," shook hands, switched cases, and away that we went. So very, very smooth deal there. Very quick, very painless, and accomplished one of my goals. I wanted to move off some base stuff into some refractors, and also continue to streamline the collection a little bit. So a 2-for-1 was absolutely perfect for me. So that's this one, PSA 10 Vlad Prism refractor. Once again, very, very, very shiny. Put this down there. Also, I forgot to mention this at the beginning. I posted about this on IG. We have a new mat with the new logo. I sent this off to Inked Gaming and had a customized mat done. Had a nice little stitched embroider edge, which you can't really see here. Nice little stitching there. Came out really nice. Very happy with it. I think this ran me about 30 bucks. Very simple process, and I had it very quickly. I submitted the order last Monday, and I think this showed up while I was gone. Came in on Friday or Saturday while I was gone. So very, very pleased with this. Really like the way that it looks. I missed the Browns mat a little bit. I still have it off to the side here. I'll probably end up doing something with it, but very happy with the way that this turned out. Really like the way that this looks. Okay, so the main event. Walked around for a while, and one table had really nice stuff out. He was actually a dealer setting up at the show the next day. He had a Soto auto, which, as everyone knows, I was on the prowl for a Bowman Chrome Soto auto. I did not see any of those there at the trade night. So I inquired about that, and I'll get to what the specific card is here in a second. And he gave me the comp. And then I went, okay. And it was not a card I was super familiar with. So I stepped away from the table, just kind of walked off into a little corner by myself and just started looking it up real quick, seeing what comps were out there, what was out there for actual sale, et cetera, et cetera. So the card itself is a 2018 Bowman's Best Soto on-card auto rookie. And I am not the biggest Bowman's Best guy in the world. I don't know a ton about the product. So like I said, I stepped off to the side and looked, and a PSA 10 had not sold in a very long time. Like early September, late August, a PSA 10 sold for about 800, 900 bucks, I think. And they were asking 1100 cash on this or 1200 trade. And I was like, okay. So I scrolled through, and then I saw recent comps from just, I think, the last week of October, where PSA 9s were doing around 800. There was a 775 and an 800. There was actually 2 sales of PSA 9s of this card for basically 800 bucks. And fairly recent, within the last 10 days or so. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, if they're at $1,200 trade value or 1100 cash on a card that's comping at 800 in a PSA 9, and the cheapest available on eBay was about 17 or 1800, which I felt like was the more correct price. You know, I figured 16 to 1800 with an $800 PSA 9 comp out there. You know, this seemed like about a $1,600 card in my eyes. And I was, if we couldn't get a deal done, I would have strongly considered just paying the 1100 cash or offering a K and see where we could get. But he looked through my stuff, and this honestly could not have worked out any better. He's flipping through, and he's looking at about, he knew, it's also very helpful to know what when the person's looking at your stuff, they know what you're interested in, because it gives them an idea of what to look for. So he pulled out, he was flipping through some of like the $1,000 range cards, and he pulls out the LeBron PSA 10 Chalk Toss Chrome, which is comping right at $1,000. Last couple sold like right at 1K, right on the money. And when I saw him pull that out, I was like, man, if that is the centerpiece of this deal, this could not work out more perfect for me, because I just got that. He pulls that out, and then was a little short in his eyes. He wanted to be, once again, closer to 1200 trade value. And I put the Chrome Chalk Toss at 1K trade value. And he pulled out a Donovan Mitchell Prism PSA 10. So that card I bought last year at completely the wrong time, completely upside down on it. I think I paid 400 for it. It's currently comping for around 200. So that one sucked to give up at that, but you know, I'm not going to lose the deal just because I'm underwater on a card. I would much rather have this. I think this has way more upside, short-term and long-term, than the Donovan Mitchell base Prism does. And, you know, you could argue the Chalk Toss one way or the other. This is just a different, you know, the Chalk Toss was completely expendable in my mind. I still view that as a pretty good card to hold long-term, but I don't have a Soto on-card auto. I felt like this card was undervalued to begin with, so it was a no-brainer all around. So that's what the deal ended up being. PSA 10, LeBron Chalk Toss, Chrome, and a PSA 10 Donovan Mitchell Prism base for this. After the fact, I find out that in a PSA 10, this is a pop 7. So extremely low population in PSA 10. Now, there is a decent portion of BGS 9.5s out there. I think about 90 BGS 9.5s. I don't know how many of those are 10 autos as well. And then, you know, you get into the whole how many are min gem, true gem, min gem plus, all that nonsense. But in a PSA 10, it's only a pop 7. So that was very appealing to me as well. And the other thing that you don't see a lot is an auto grade of 10 as well on PSA slabs, especially with Soto. I really like his auto, but it can also be tricky sometimes. Be like streaks, the dot, the whole 9 yards. There's a lot of issues sometimes with his autograph coming out perfectly clean. I like the style of his autograph. So to have this in a 10 auto as well, I think adds a little extra juice to it. I didn't check the ones that were currently listed to see if they were also a 10-10. In my mind, that just gives it a little extra zing. I don't think it adds like a bunch of dollar value onto the end of it, but it definitely makes it a little bit more appealing. So very excited to pick this up. For Soto, there is not a lot of, because, you know, we've talked about it before with the pink refractor and all that stuff. He obviously has the first Bowman Chrome auto. Rookie year on card auto, there's not a lot of them out there. So once again, it's a matter of, even though it's a Bowman's Best and not a Topps Chrome like I would prefer, there's just not a lot of on-card Rookie Shield Soto cards on the market. So to have one in a 10-10, 10 card, 10 auto, I feel pretty good about, especially for where it was valued at. I really believe this is at least a $1,600 card. 1,500 cash, and probably close to 1,700 trade. I mean, it just kind of depends on where you want to kind of float out on it. I just know the cheapest one available is 1,750, and the last comp on a 9 is 800. There's a BGS 9.5. I think it's a Min-Gem or a Min-Gem Plus at auction right now. So I'm going to keep an eye on that and see where that finishes. That should give me a better idea of what this is at. But right now, if I had to put a tag on it, I'd say 1,600 to 1,700 most likely. But I have room to navigate on that. So was very excited about this pickup as well. And those were the only 2 deals I made at trade night. The Soto, the Vlad, and then the mail day pickup as well. So, but overall, had a great time. Met a lot of cool people. I'm going to cut this here, and then I'll talk about the show specifically in tomorrow's video. Because I have some general thoughts on the show itself. Good, bad, and indifferent. But overall, it was a very enjoyable weekend. I would 100% go back again to both the trade night and the show if they did it that way. I thought that it was well worth the trip, once again, just for meeting people and all that stuff. This was a cool pickup. This, just coming back with this at what I got it at and how I got into it, made the entire trip. So even if I skunked out at the show the next day, I'd have been perfectly happy just coming home with this. So, but we'll save show thoughts for tomorrow. But some new additions to the old collection, some old stuff going out, some new stuff coming in. Nice little Soto on-card auto. And then very excited about this one. Chalk Toss Refractor PSA 9. Very low pop on these, obviously. There is a numbered version, the orange one out of $4.99. But that is the non-numbered, but still pretty low pop. I think that's maybe pop 90 in a PSA 9. I'd have to look. I don't remember off the top of my head. But like, comment, subscribe. Catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.